Shamiksha. Before I move on to what I'm actually going to be talking to you about today, can I have a show of hands of how many of you here actually like painting? Wow, that's a lot of hands I see. Well, today I'm going to be talking about my favorite hobby, which is painting. And I do see that some of you didn't raise your hands. So I'm guessing that you don't really have the interest in the hobby, or I'm guessing that you don't really know how to do it. Well, don't worry. Today I'm here to persuade you to get into this hobby, and I'm here to develop your talent and your interest in this hobby. So, before we move on to anything, you're going to need the basic materials for your painting, right? Well, what are they? You're going to need your paintbrushes, one thick and one thin. And you're also going to need a cup of water to dip your paintbrushes in. And you also need some paints like watercolor or acrylic. It's your choice. You can choose. And one thing that I do like to personally do is actually grab an old toothbrush. You might be asking why, right? Well, I like to take my paint and put it on the toothbrush and dab it on a piece of paper, which creates this very cool effect that I really love. And I would prefer if you could grab an apron to put on yourself or a newspaper to put under your canvas. And don't worry if you don't have all the fancy equipment. All you're going to need are some basic colors like red, orange, yellow, blue, green, and purple. And what do you think is a good environment for you to sit in? Well, I see that some of you are thinking. And a good environment for you to sit in would be a place with calm, relaxing music, not a place with loud rock and jazz music. And sit in a place where you don't have your annoying siblings annoying you. Trust me, I have personal experience. And once you've done that, you can go on to Google your best friend and search for some ideas. And once you've done that, if you really can't think of any ideas, let me give you an example. One would be a sunrise. Before I move on to the steps of the sunrise, let me show you an example that I have right here. This is a painting that I once did. It's a sunrise, as you can see right here. One thing that you can do is actually put the colors in order. You don't need expensive colors and very beautiful colors like maroon or cobalt blue or those kind of colors. You just need the basic colors like red, orange, black, and white. So what are we going to do with those? Well, first up, you're going to put your red and then orange. And then take your thick brush and sway your brush left to right till you feel that your colors are well blended. Once you've done that, remember I told you to take a thinner brush? Well, once you take that, you can go in for the thinner details for the outlining and stuff so that the paint doesn't smudge. And one thing that you can do is you can go for a second layer of coat to make your painting more vibrant. And if you think that's a little too hard for you, you can go for a more abstract kind of painting. Do you know what abstract means?
No.
Okay, for the people that don't know what abstract means, abstract painting is a type of painting that focuses more on colors, focuses more on size and shapes and lines. Okay, let me ask you one more question. How many of you here have gone to an art exhibition or an art museum? Well, I see that many of you have gone there, but some of you haven't really gone there. But for the people that have gone there, have you ever seen paintings that cost over 100 and thousands of dollars? And you probably see the painting and you're like, this painting is full of lines, full of colors, and full of just splashes of paint. And you've probably thought that's not really worth the price, right? Well, that's abstract painting. And let me tell you an interesting fact about Vincent van Gogh. You all know him, right? He's a very famous painter. But do you know that he has made over 900 paintings in 10 years, but has only sold one in his entire lifetime? I'm pretty sure you can sell paintings too. But to sell paintings, you you're gonna need to make your background more attractive, right? So what can you do to make it more attractive? Well, I see that some of you are thinking, and I think in your mind you're probably thinking that you can mix colors or blend colors, right? Well, you can mix colors such as red and blue to create purple, or red and white to create orange and yellow. And there are many more possibilities like this. So one thing you can do before you move on to the actual painting, you can experiment with your colors a little bit more. And don't worry, anything can be a masterpiece. If it's your first time painting, don't feel upset or don't feel like your painting isn't worth it. Anything in this world can be a masterpiece, even a single dot on a piece of paper. So, have you learned the key points of my lesson? Well, let's summarize. First, you're going to need to grab your basic art materials. Once you've done that, you can muster up some ideas or search onto Google and then sit in a comfortable spot and start your painting. Once you've done that, you can use a thinner brush to go for the details or go for a second layer of coat to make your painting more vibrant. And remember, last but not least, be happy and be positive with your artwork. Don't be negative and always be positive. And it'll be good if you have someone to support you through the way. So, I hope you have a great day ahead and thank you for listening to my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamiksha.